DIY Auto.
Alright guys, so today we're going to be changing a tire using these simple basic tools that you see in front of us. So we're going to be showing you today how to change a tire, and we're going to be using my 2017 Dodge Charger SRT 392. So this is going to be a very basic video. For some it's not going to do any good for you because it's super simple, but for others it's going to be a big help. So it's come to my attention that many people probably don't know how to change a tire, especially using just basic hand tools. So today we're going to change that, and we're going to do a video on this. So let's jump into this. Okay guys, so today we're going to be using a jack. We're going to be using one of these type of tools, whether it be your star or your breaker bar with a socket on the end, and then some wheel chocks. And that's basically all you're going to need in order to change your tire. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your vehicle is as level as possible. Now in some roadside emergencies that's not going to be the case, so you're going to have to do your best in order to have it on a level surface. But you're going to go inside and put your parking brake on. So let's go ahead and do that. So all cars are different, but my parking brake is going to be right down here. So we're just going to get it and push down. So now our parking brake is set. Let's move to the next step. Okay guys, so now that our parking brake is set, since we're lifting up the front tire, we're going to come here to the back and we're going to put one wheel chock on each wheel. So all you're going to do is just put it back there and kind of push it under there as far as you can, just to where it's snug. That way when you're lifting the car up from the front, it can't accidentally roll back, because you have your parking brake on. This is a rear wheel drive vehicle, and now we have a wheel chock. So it's going to make the car extra safe for us. So now let's move on to the next step. Alright guys, so now you want to go to the side of the car, or to the tire that you're needing to remove. You want to go underneath and find the jacking point of your vehicle. Now this information can be found online or in your service manual in your vehicle. So for us, we have this little arrow pointing here, and if you go back farther underneath, hopefully you guys can see that, there's a little plate right there with the fastener sticking down. That's our jacking point. That's going to be the jacking point we're going to use, and then there's also an area under there that has an arrow underneath where you could put a jack stand. So I would highly recommend putting a jack stand or using jack stands, but I know that's an extra piece of equipment that you may not have. So as long as you're not getting under the vehicle and you're being super careful, you can probably manage this job without a jack stand, but I highly recommend, for safety reasons, you have a jack stand. Or what you could do is use your tire you're going to be putting on the vehicle, slide it underneath here, just in case the car would fall. It would fall on the new tire. Once you remove your old tire, just switch places with them. So let's move on to the next step. Okay guys, so now that we have our parking brake on, our vehicle's on a level surface, and we have wheel chocks, and we also found our jacking point, now it's time to go ahead and do the lug nuts. But the most important thing is these lug nuts are on pretty tight. So a fair warning, if you try to jack the car up first, the wheel can free spin, and you're not going to be able to get enough torque on these lug nuts to get them off. So the best thing to do is keep the vehicle completely on the ground. That's going to keep the weight of the vehicle on the wheels. It's going to give you leverage to be able to get those lug nuts off. It's going to be able to hold the wheel in place for you to get enough torque on those lug nuts to break them loose. And then after you break them loose, then you could go ahead, if you would like, and jack the vehicle up. So here's our 3 options for our lug wrenches. There's many more out there, but these are the ones that I have to be able to show you today. Now sometimes when you get a jack in your vehicle, if your car comes with a jack or a spare tire, sometimes that jack will have a special lug nut wrench on one end that fits the lug nuts, and on the other end is like a pry bar or a crowbar type, or it's a special end that fits into the jack that it comes with in order to spin it and jack it up. So this vehicle did not come with a spare tire, but I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to take this wheel off and put it right back on, but I'm going to show you guys the process of how to do that. So if you have a spare tire, you just pull it out from the trunk or underneath the car and you pop it on. Also, these cars didn't come with a jack, and the only jack we have is kind of this fancier Daytona one, so it's not necessary. Any jack will work. A properly functioning jack will work. So we have this Big Star lug nut wrench. We have a breaker bar with a 22mm socket on it, and we have this star that's foldable that becomes compact. So this is pretty cool here. Let's see. Now it's a full star, it's just not as big. So there's advantages to all of them. And what I mean by that is, for the breaker bar, it's all obviously long enough. It's like it acts as like a cheater bar. So it's long enough for you to be able to press the least amount of force in order to break away the lug nuts. The only problem is it's going to take forever to spin them off. Whereas these, whether it's a big one, a small one, or a big one, you're not going to have as much length of bar in order to push little as possible to break these lug nuts. You're going to have to put more pressure in order to break those lug nuts, but you can actually spin them off quicker. So I'll demonstrate all that here pretty soon, but there's pros and cons to both. So it's kind of a personal preference. So yeah, this, however compact, it's nice to have because it's compact, but these kind of fold down kind of quickly, and I don't feel it's as sturdy as maybe this one. So it's personal preference. So let's go ahead and start cracking these lug nuts loose, and we'll show you how it works. So first we're going to try the breaker bar. So we're just going to get it on the lug nut. Actually, and then eventually you could just so there's the breaker bar. Now we're going to try our star, and these are pretty much universal. So we have 22mm on this side. See? That was a lot harder. But now, where this actually has some pros, is you could do that. It pops it off, so it's quicker. So, let's try the bigger one. We have 22mm here. So we're just going to take this. Didn't need as much force, obviously, because this one's bigger. So didn't need as much force as we did, or strength as we did with the smaller one. So same thing. And there you go. So again, it's just personal preference. Sometimes if you get yours serviced, see, mine are torque to spec, so I kind of already know how much force I'm going to have to use. But if you take them, if you're taking your tires to a tire shop, which mostly everybody does, or to an independent mechanic, a lot of times they'll hammer these on with air guns, or they'll hammer them on with impact wrenches. So having to get them off like by hand like this is a pain in the butt. So sometimes you will have to. I've had numerous times, sometimes in the past, when I had a Ford F-150, I would literally have to like step on. Let me show you guys. So I would literally have to step on it with pretty much all my weight in order to break them. So that's something to think about. That's why a breaker bar comes in handy. So let's go ahead and now let's jack this up. Finish getting, well, we need to loosen these first. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll just do it. Okay, now that we got them loose and we have the other three off, let's go ahead and jack this up. Alright guys, so we got this jacked up and I wanted to show you that was not the pinch weld I was talking about. It's actually, hopefully you guys can see it. It's right there. And then take you guys under. See those markings or that little arrow? That's where your jack stand goes. Or you can also jack it up from that point there as well. So just a recap on this. If the book doesn't tell you where to go or you can't find the answer, really anywhere down here that's a structural part of the vehicle, like a frame, any kind of metal part, obviously use your best judgment. Is going to be a good jacking point. You obviously don't want to jack it up on plastic or aluminum or like that piece right there, because it's very flimsy. It's not a structural piece of the vehicle. So just keep that in mind. So let's get back to the tire. Alright guys, so now that we're back with our tire here, we're going to take our 22 millimeter, I don't know why I keep saying milliliter. Just go ahead, take these off. Just like that, guys. Also, I want to mention, you don't want to raise your vehicle as high as you can possibly go with the jack. You just want to raise it enough to where you have some comfortable room to take off the tire. So then you just pull the tire off. And there you go. It's as simple as that. So let's pretend like there was something wrong with this tire and this is our spare. So all we're going to do is get this lined up as best we can. Put the tire back on and then just start some of these lug nuts. By hand. You want to always do this by hand. If you try to put them in the bar and swing them on real quick, or if you guys have a impact driver, impact wrench, and you try putting these straight on without doing it by hand first, you could really strip the threads. So just a heads up on that. Make sure to always get it started by hand. And then while the car's up, if you want, go ahead and take your 22 millimeter and you want to go in a star pattern. You always want to go in a star pattern so you can at least get these just hand tight. So that's hand tight. So if you try it, see the wheel spinning? So this is why you want to do putting them on completely with the vehicle down. So next we're going to go here. And it's not rocket science, guys. Just as long as you're not. Then we can go here. Then we can go down here. Hand tight. And then the last one. There. Now, we're ready to go ahead and lower the vehicle. So you want to make sure there's no obstruction underneath, and you want to make sure if you were using a jack stand, you get that out before you actually try to let the vehicle down. So now, we're going to go ahead and let it down and get these tightened up. Alright guys, so now that we got the vehicle lowered on the ground, and now we got the vehicle weight on the tire, we can go ahead and tighten these lug nuts up. So I'm a big advocate of torquing the lug nuts to spec, and the reason and the importance for that is because if you tighten them too loose, kind of sounds weird, huh? Tighten them too loose. But if you put them on too loose, there's a chance that the vibration and just normal driving conditions can pop these work these lug nuts off, and actually pop, your tire will end up coming off, causing a really bad accident and a lot of damage to your vehicle. But on the contrary, if you tighten them too tight, you can actually warp the rotor, you can damage your wheel hub, your components, your wheel bearings, all that kind of stuff in there. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation, but if you ask me, I'd rather that tire to stay on, and if I have to replace some components later, it's better than trying to replace a whole new car, and something that's not replaceable is a person's life. So you want to take that in consideration, whether it's your own or whether it's somebody else's. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. If I could get the correct one. So we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. So same thing, you want to do a star pattern. You always want to do a star pattern, and the reason for this is so that the wheel will actually mount evenly. You don't want to crank just this side and then you could warp it, or you can damage components, your wheel hub, all that kind of stuff. You could damage stuff, so you always want to do it evenly. So we're going to do this side first, and these are usually about 100 something foot-pounds. So we're going to tighten it like that, then we're going to come up here. I'm going to go back over these with a torque wrench, but tighten that. Then we're going to go here. And there you go, guys. That is how you basically change your tire, or change your wheel. So there you go, guys. It's pretty simple. Even with common hand tools, it's very simple. So hopefully, if you didn't know how to change your tire, now you know how to change your tire. If you guys already did, maybe this is a refresher, or maybe I said something that you weren't aware of. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you guys did, make sure to click on that like button. If you guys would like to be notified when I put out another video, make sure to hit that bell notification. And as always, guys, subscribe to my channel for more informational videos and DIY projects. So until next time, guys, have a good one.